Picture this. It is 1920. You wake up in London. It is 8 a.m. Somewhere in India, it is already 1 in the afternoon. Somewhere in Australia, it's already night. And somewhere in Canada, the sun hasn't risen yet. But in every single of those places, someone is living under the same flag, the British flag. At its peak, the British Empire controlled 24% of all the land on Earth. Over 400 million people across every continent on the globe. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't luck. This is a story of how one small rainy island full of the greatest power grew up in human history. 2,000 years ago, the island we call Britain wasn't much to look at. It was cold, it was wet, it was filled with fierce warrior tribes called the Celts. People who painted their bodies blue and charged into battle screaming. Even the Romans, the most powerful empire on earth at the time, hesitated before invading. But in 43 AD, they came anyway. For nearly 400 years, Rome ruled Britain. They built roads, cities, and the famous Hadrian's Wall, a massive stone barrier stretching 73 miles across the north of England, built specifically to keep the world's Scottish tribe out. But empires don't last forever. Rome collapsed, the soldiers went home, and Britain was left wide open. And what came next will literally shape the island forever. After Rome left, waves of the invaders poured in. First came the Anglo-Saxons, warriors from what is now Germany and Denmark. They carved the land into kingdoms and slowly something called England began to take shape. Then came the Vikings. If you think you've seen a brutal warfare, the Vikings redefined it. They didn't just raid coastal towns, they burned monasteries, they took slaves, they came back year after year until they owned entire regions of England. At one point, a Viking king named Canute actually ruled all of England. But England fought back slowly. The kingdoms united, and by the time William the Conqueror stormed in from Normandy in 1066, England was already a nation hardened by centuries of violence. They would need every bit of that toughness for what came next. England was powerful, but it wasn't satisfied. Wales fell under English control in the 13th century, but Scotland was a very different story. The Scots fought with everything they had. William Wallace, Robert the Bruce, battle after battle, generation after generation. For centuries, Scotland believed to stay free. And yet, in 1707, not through war but through politics, Scotland and England signed a new agreement. The Kingdom of Great Britain was born. Ireland was added in 1801. And just like that, four nations with completely different cultures, languages, and histories were now one, the United Kingdom. But the real story was only just beginning. Here is the thing about islands. They either look inward or they look out to the sea. Britain looked to the sea, starting in the 1600s. British ships began pushing further than anyone had gone before. They set up trading posts, then colonies, then they conquered the East India Company, technically just for trading business, built its own private army, and took control of India. India, a subcontinent of hundreds of millions of people, taken by a company. By the 1800s, British controlled territories across Africa, Asia, the Americas, and the Pacific. The numbers are almost impossible to believe. By 1920, the British Empire covered 35.5 million square kilometers. That's nearly the surface area of the moon. It was larger than the Mongol Empire, the Roman Empire, the Spanish Empire, larger than any empire in all of recorded human history. 412 million people, one flag. People started saying the sun never set on British Empire, not as a boast, as a literal fact. But holding a quarter of the world together is expensive and exhausting. World warfare nearly broke in Britain. Millions dead, billions in debt. The empire was stretched thin. Then came World War II. Hitler's German launched bombing campaigns over London night after night, trying to break British morale. The city burned, civilians died in the streets. Britain held on. They fought back, they won. But we cost them everything. The debt was catastrophic. The military was drained. And across the empire, people had had enough. India, led by Mahatma Gandhi, won its independence in 1947. It was like pulling the first brick from a wall. Within 20 years, more than 20 British territories had declared independence one by one. The empire dissolved. The sun finally was beginning to set. Today, United Kingdom is four nations: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. No empire, no colonies, just a group of islands off the coast of Europe. I ain't finished yet. The English language is spoken by over a billion people. Legal and political systems modeled on Britain exist on every continent. The Commonwealth connects 56 countries that were once under Britain crown. The empire is gone, but its shadow stretches across the entire modern world, from Celtic warriors painting themselves blue, to Roman wars building to keep out of the north, to Viking fire and Anglo-Saxon steel, to a small island that somehow convinced itself and then the world that it could rule everything. The story of the United Kingdom isn't just British history, it's the story of how modern world was made. If you made it this far, I know you actually care about history, so hit the subscribe button because we can go deep on stories like this every week. And if you want to know what happened when the empire fell apart, the wars, the betrayals, and the countries that fought back, drop a comment. That story is definitely coming.